Hello, my name is Richard Lamb, and today for my EXS 318 class for the benchmark video, I'll be going over the overhead squat, specifically the compensation of the excessive forward lean. And we'll be going across the correct exercise continuum, start with inhibit, and with the purpose of decreasing overactivity of the myofascial tissue. Now, with the technique of the self-myofascial release of this tennis ball, I'll be working on the gastrocnemius. Since the gastrocnemius is in charge of plantar flexion, and overactivity of the gastrocnemius can cause an excessive forward lean. And before we get into our training or the variable, I will be going over the precautions and the contraindications with any individuals with cellulitis, any open wounds, or healing fracture of the gastrocnemius. I recommend not to work on this. But for frequency, do it daily unless otherwise specified. Do it one set, and then for each leg, do it for about 30 to 90 seconds depending on intensity. Next up on the continuum is to lengthen with the purpose of improving the available range of motion at the joint, increasing tissue extensibility, but also enhancing neuromuscular efficiency. The technique we're going to be using is static stretching on the gastrocnemius. Before we do any stretching, some precautions, anyone in special population or individuals with joint replacement, and also some contraindications. Anyone has any acute injury or any muscle strain on the targeted tissue. Now, you want to do this daily unless otherwise specified. Do it for about 1 to 4 reps on each leg or each calf. Hold it for about 20-30 seconds. And then for older populations, like 65 years and over, hold it for about 60 seconds. Thank you. Next up in the exercise continuum will be to activate, essentially to increase force production capabilities through concentric and eccentric muscle actions. The technique we'll be using will be isolated strengthening of the anterior tibialis. Since the anterior tibialis is in charge of dorsiflexion, so we're trying to reintroduce the force production capabilities of that to help us with the compensation of the excessive forward lean. Now, before we get into that, some precautions, anyone in special populations, and for the contraindications, anyone that has acute injury or that has an impaired joint motion. To do this, do about 3 to 5 days a week, 1 to 2 sets for about 10 to 15 reps. And then for each rep, a 2-second isometric hold at the end range, and then a 4-second eccentric. Up in the continuum, we have to integrate, essentially to promote greater intermuscular coordination. And then for our technique, we'll be introducing dynamic movement onto the targeted tissue, such as standing calf raises. Now, before we get into that, any precautions for individuals in special populations and that has neuromuscular disorders. For the contraindications, we have anyone that has acute rheumatoid arthritis or any muscle strain onto the targeted tissue. To train this, do about 3 to 5 days a week, 1 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, and then for each rep, just slow and control. That's what we ask.